Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss what is a huge bit of new news around Manchester United's transfer summer that I'm very excited to talk about. We've also got a new contract for Johnny Evans, Luke Shaw back for the Euros, an update on Rasmus Hojlund. We'll also be talking in depth about a very, very exciting development at Carrington today in relation to agents that were seen at Carrington today who represent 4 very interesting players that Man United might want to buy. So we'll be talking about that as well. And also, look, I will say this right to the start. I have pity. I was just reading some of the chat. I was a little bit late because I was reading your live chat where people were saying, nothing's changing. All YouTubers are just doing the same thing. Hold on a minute. I don't watch any of the YouTubers, so I don't know whether anyone's copying what we're doing. But I've been saying to you for a few days now, nobody knows what's happening. There is no update from me about that. Nobody knows what's happening. I'm as frustrated with you. I spoke about it this morning. Bullshit, made up crap last night that goes viral for an hour, and then the same today. I mean, I've seen more eyes than Specsavers today. More people trying to get retweets and clicks and likes by doing the eyes thing on Twitter. I've seen more than Specsavers. It's a joke. They don't know what they're... As if some average journalist on Twitter has got the exclusive on Ten Hag's future. As if some ITK on Twitter has got the exclusive on Ten Hag's future. They know nothing. They know absolutely nothing. They're Jon Snow FC. They know absolutely nothing. They're doing it to you for interaction, to make them sound knowledgeable. They don't know anything. I don't know anything. You don't know anything. It could be in the next 5 minutes. It could be next week. Nobody knows anything. So anybody who's going TikTok or eyes, have they lost their watch? I don't know. I don't know what they're on about. United Wings is doing it as well. So it is boring. What I want to talk tonight about is something very exciting. Yes, it is a big transfer boost for Ten Hag because he's the current manager. If it was Pochettino, it would be Pochettino's huge transfer boost. If it was McKenna, it would be McKenna. If it was Tuchel, it would be Tuchel. What has been seen at Carrington today, and you may have seen it when Beth was talking about it, was that agents were at Carrington today, and there was also seen to be visible branding for the Gestifute agency who represent Yoro, Neves, Altnouri, Neto. So that is very, very, very interesting that conversations may well be going on with very, very key players for Manchester United. So I want to delve into that. However, just to feed the need to talk about Ten Hag's future, of which I've got no update, I did read a very interesting article today that adds a little bit of new news. And this is what it is all about. It came from a Dutch journalist. Erik Ten Hag is actually on holiday in Ibiza at the moment, right now. He's living La Vida Loca. He's sipping on a sangria, potentially. And he's in his Speedos, if you want to think about stuff like that. Maybe not at this time. He's probably got a nice shirt on and he's just relaxing. And I wish I was there with him. Not because I love Ten Hag, but because Ibiza is a very nice place in early June. But it goes on to say, and this is a report from the Netherlands, that, and it's quite an interesting one because I'd never really thought about it like this, but it says that it seems very premature that the news that Man United had already decided to sack Erik Ten Hag before the FA Cup seems very, very premature. There could be doubts on both sides, and it could be that Ten Hag himself would prefer to move on. The radio silence from both parties is presented as a problem, but they can hardly continually reaffirm a desire to work with each other publicly, because that would just create problems for the future. Goes on to say that the Dutch perspective is that Ten Hag himself must see that the team and the club is able to take important steps this summer. He's had 2 years where he's not been given the players he wanted and knows that his 3rd year could be his last year. So if United can't deliver him the things he needs, then he may have doubts himself. The manager also has only 1 year left on his initial deal with Manchester United, so the scenario of parting amicably could still exist and cannot be ruled out. There's said to have been extensive discussions at the club over the past week or so, and part of the delay is put down to the risk Sir Jim Ratcliffe sees in any decision. Whether he chooses to stick with Erik ten Hag or twist and sack ten Hag, the success of that decision will rest on him and the management team putting that decision in place. Goes on to say that Ten Hag's confidence around the FA Cup final was purposeful and some seen as a power move. Regardless, the uncertainty continues, and perhaps that's inevitable and won't be provided with an answer. If Man United and Ten Hag decide to continue together, then making a fanfare of that decision will only encourage demands for public board backing back the next time the club hit a difficult streak. So it's an interesting take on that, isn't it? That he's in Ibiza. Who knows what the decision will be? But do they publicly need to come out and confirm their desire to work with each other? Do they have to do that? Because if we had a bad start to the season, would people demand that they come out and back him again? So we're in. Look, nobody knows what's going on. I still think he's staying. This could be the last time I wear this, but I still think he's staying. And I think the most telling part from that is something we've spoken about a lot, that if Sir Jim Ratcliffe sacks Erik ten Hag and it goes wrong, he's finished. He's finished because he's made a massively controversial decision and he's got it wrong. So he's got to make sure he gets this right. Maybe we're waiting on somebody, but I don't know who we're waiting on. I really don't. So, look, what I will say is that Jamie Jackson said we'll have a decision by Friday. I ain't telling that to you. I'm not saying that to you. I don't know. I'd rather move on and talk about stuff that we know, but I will serve that frustration and desire with that only bit of news I found today that's different to anything we've had for the last week. He's on holiday in Ibiza. I'm in California. Can't sleep. News come out at night, says Mikael. I'd go to sleep, mate. I really don't think that these people with their eyes and their ticky-tock haven't got a fucking clue. They haven't got a clue, mate. They haven't got a clue. They're guessing. They're guessing. And here's a question for you. Have INEOS made their mind up? I don't know. Have they made their mind up? If they have made their mind up, how'd you keep that quiet? So, I don't know. I don't know. We're in Ibiza, aren't we? Says JS. Anyway, let's get into the interesting part of the show. There's quite a lot of developments today. Luke Shaw will be back fit for the Euros. Some people feel that's controversial. Rasmus has had a bloody good game for Denmark today. There's an interesting thing to discuss about that. Also, Johnny Evans is going to get a new contract. That's been very controversial. However, I want to start off with this story. So we were told today, Sam, who works for the United Stand, said, a source has told him this morning that there were agents present at Carrington today and a couple of taxis were waiting outside. Gestifute agency branding visible on some of their belongings. And of course, they represent, as an agency, Lenny Yoro, João Neves of Benfica, Altnori at Wolves, and Neto at Wolves as well. I think it must have something to do with George Mendes, if I'm being honest. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think it's really exciting. The last time we were told about agents being at Carrington was back in January, and we told you that the agency of Jadon Sancho was at Carrington. And within the next day or so, it came out that Sancho was going on loan to Dortmund. So what are INEOS cooking, says United? Well, they will be cooking something. Like, I know we get frustrated. I know we're concerned. I know it's Spinios for some people and it's Glazers 2.0. But as I've always said, they will do good things. It's impossible to just do bad. They will do good things. I think Barada's a good appointment. I like Blanc. So David Brailsford has got a very good reputation. Ashworth, who knows? Wilcox is exciting. So they will make good decisions. They're just being a bit slow. But I genuinely think there's something in this, because the source it's coming from was the one who told us about the agency for Sancho being there in January, and lo and behold, the next day it came out that Sancho was off to Dortmund. So I do think that we will be having conversations, and people obviously will be visiting Carrington, etc. The interesting thing is, out of all those players, who is it that we're talking about? Now, somebody quite rightly said, and I haven't checked it, but I think it is true, that that agency also represents Shoretire, and Rob Dawson said today that United are looking to move Shoretire on. So it could be something to do with that. However, I just don't feel that Man United and Shoretire would be, big enough. Has this got something to do with the story coming out from Madrid today that Man United are going to bid £50 million for Yoro? I know some people think we're in for Yoro. Maybe we are. Maybe we could shock the world and sign him. But Real Madrid want him. I can't see how we'd beat Real Madrid to him. So I don't think it's him. João Neves, I think we would love to sign, but we can't afford it. Benfica are going to want a lot of money, and he's a fantastic player. I actually heard somebody today say that João Neves is too similar to Kobbie Mainoo. And I just went, oh my God. What? Because they play in the midfield? Like, tell me you haven't watched João Neves without telling me you haven't watched João Neves. What is similar to him about Kobbie Mainoo? Kobbie Mainoo's an 8 for a start, who's so good he can play as a 6, but for me he's a box-to-box player. I think João Neves is going to settle into that number 6 position and be bloody brilliant at it. Now, of course, I think he could play more advanced, but I think a midfield 3 of João Neves, Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes would be very, very, very interesting, but I don't think we can afford him. Neto is a player that we've looked at Wolves. He's had a lot of injury problems. He's a very, very good player. And if we're not getting Elise, then maybe we could go for Neto. But I've never felt that we are in for Neto. Could it be something to do with Altnouri from Wolves? We need a left back. And I personally think that all 4 are very, very, very exciting. Yoro, Altnouri, Neves, or Neto. But I'd probably say out of all 4 of them, just because I'm a little bit glass half empty, I think it's probably Altnouri because we desperately do need a left back. So maybe it's him. But I'm quite excited about that. Maybe it's the dearth and absence of anything positive to be positive about. But it is a good source. And whilst it could be a discussion about Shoretire's future, it could also be a discussion about signing João Neves. But I feel it might be Altnouri. It could be look, there are other players. There are other players. I mean, let me just go through other players. I mean, look, we've not picked the only 4 they've got. I'll go through some of the other players they represent. Ruben Diaz, Man City. Bernardo Silva, Man City. Darwin Nunez, Liverpool. Zaire Emery, PSG. Neto, I've mentioned. Nunez at Man City. Vitina at PSG. Ramos at PSG. Barcola at PSG. Lenny Yoro. Jota at Liverpool, Agate at PSG, who I would really, really like, actually. Costa, goalkeeper, won't be going for him, obviously. Antonio Silva, centre-back for Benfica, another good player. João Neves, I've mentioned. Baldi, left-back, Barcelona. Altnouri, left-back, Wolves. Edison, goalkeeper, Man City. Ruben Neves, Saudi Arabia, maybe he wants to come back, who knows. João Felix, we've been linked to him a lot. Barcelona. Cancelo, Barcelona. Fabinho, Saudi Arabia. Vieira, Arsenal. Asensio, PSG. Guedes, I don't know where he is at the moment. Is he still at Benfica? Who else have they got? Reina at Nottingham Forest. Maria. Lunin at Real Madrid. Ronaldo. Fernandes. Santos, right back at Lille. Sarr, goalkeeper. Podence. Yeah, I mean, look, they've got a lot of players on their books. I was just looking about what players they've got in relation to Man United. I think they have got Shoretire. I just couldn't find it earlier on. I'm sure they have. I'm really sure. I can't find him, but I'm sure they have. Yeah, I can't find him on the list, but somebody said to me they have. I couldn't find him. Jose Mourinho is a client of theirs as well. Managers that are a client of theirs. Bloody hell, I never even thought of that. Marco Silva, Jose Mourinho. Yeah, no one we're linked to, so I don't think we need to panic about that one. But yeah, could be something really exciting in that. Could be. Fabrizio Romano has apparently put a tweet out. Let me have a quick look. Don't click that. Don't click that. You've clicked the wrong thing, you bloody idiot. You're an idiot. You're a bloody idiot. I've clicked the wrong thing. I've lost my live chat, but I haven't lost my stream. Johnny Evans getting a new contract. Luke Shaw being back. I also want to talk to you about Rasmus as well. Lots going on the show tonight. Let's get to this Fabrizio Romano tweet. Let me just get my live chat back. But yeah, I'm encouraged by that because I think that there's so many interesting players represented by that agency. And if you remember, I'm pretty sure George Mendes, who is a super agent, has got something to do with that agency as well. And I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that we're looking to work with him a few months ago. So he could be a very important person. There's nothing from Fabrizio. Oh, no, there is. Manchester United will bring in a new left-back for sure this summer, as reported in March. Kerkez, one of the players being mentioned for that position. No talks, but appreciated. Bournemouth have no intention to make it easy. You know what? Fabrizio will break some amazing transfer news this summer. Of course he will. But also, he's got to put out information about things that he knows that he might not know who the player is. And I think what he's saying there is that Man United are going to sign a left back. Nobody really knows who it is at the moment. Bournemouth's left back is a potential. But as I said, it could be Alt-Nouri because we've got the agency potentially there today. So Melp says Romano's just telling us what we already know. Yeah, but I can't stand it when people get on at Romano about that because ultimately it's his job. And if it's a Wednesday night and there's nothing going on, and he's not busy, why not put a tweet out saying, we haven't bought a left back yet. He's got every right in his position to say, Man United will buy a left back. No talks yet with this Bournemouth left back, but he is appreciated, but they will buy a left back. And he's basically telling you we're going to buy a left back. So, judge him in September if we haven't bought a left back. But he's still giving you the news. You're just impatient about who it's going to be. But he doesn't know who it's going to be. But he's telling you we're going to get a left back. That is still news. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't say United are definitely buying a left back because I don't know if we're definitely going to buy a left back. So it does frustrate me a little bit because his reputation, and it's not just because he comes on the channel, but his reputation for a long period of time gets better and better. And I think that's really interesting about the left back. And maybe it could be Alt-Nouri. Who would you want from that agency? Alt-Nouri, João Neves, Neto, Lenny Yoro. Who would you want out of all those players? For me, it would be Neves from Benfica. I think he's a Man City player. I really do. Hi, Mark. Are you coming to San Diego for the tour? If you are, I'll buy you a pint. Oh, you've just reminded... I'm a bloody idiot, United AV. I've pinned it in the live chat. So, my book... I've got loads to talk to you about tonight, but my book is coming out very, very soon. It comes out on the 1st of August. You can pre-order it on Amazon. We've got signed copies as well, etc. But I pinned it in the live chat. To celebrate the launch of my book, we've actually got some amazing gifts and prizes to give out. My favourite one is I will come and coach your five-a-side or football team, which you can put together if you win. It doesn't matter. Or I'll just come down and give you some coaching or whatever. A pint in the Goldbridge Arms. There's some amazing prizes we're giving away. Check out the link in the description to enter. And it's exclusively for you United Stand viewers at the moment. So get your entries in. I've completely forgotten about that. And of course, don't forget to pre-order it. It's coming out very, very soon. Links in the live chat for you. Thank you, United Av. You completely made me remember that with the tour. If Erik ten Hag stays with an imminent poor transfer window in sight, what would you expect next season, says 5T4? I think you've made a great point, mate. When you talk about what to expect next season, I actually think the transfer window is more important than the manager. If you bring Pochettino or Tuchel in and you have a crap summer transfer window, then it will be a crap season next year. If you keep Ten Hag and you have a crap transfer window, then will it be a crap season next year? I actually think that the summer transfer window in relation to sales and purchases is really important. Evening, Mark. Long time no see, says Dan John. I've been struggling and you and the community have been so great to me. Thank you so much, love. Dan, thank you for telling us that. This community is real. I've always said this. It's a fantastic community. Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna watch. That's fine. But the love and camaraderie in this community has been there for years and we're always there for you, Dan. So thanks for reaching out and I hope you're doing well. Mikhail says, it seems like they didn't. Every day is the same. Can we keep using Ditheros in our vocabulary, says Pete? And Dylan says, I'd be fuming if they sacked Ten Hag. I genuinely think he's the guy to take us forward. You and me too, Dylan. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for your super chats. Appreciate that. Welcome to all the members in the chat. Lovely to see some badges. Let's have a read some of those. It's going to be a poor window. 70 million before player sales, says Chris, one of our members. Sorry, but that's not going to get me excited. Love you, Dan, says Lewis Jackson, another member there as well. And is out Nori or Jackanori? Haha, says Glenn. Good one. Hi, Mark. Hope you're doing well. As always, love the show and the content, says Akash. And Solid Blake sends some love as well. Best fan channel, football channel, says the live chat. Well, best community, I think, is more important. Let's move on. I just want to... It's self-serving what I'm about to say here. Don't forget to enter and get your prizes through the link in the live chat around the book. But I was watching a bit of Denmark tonight, and he didn't score from it, but there was a lovely ball into Rasmus where he ran the left channel, cut inside, bent it towards the bottom corner, and it just went wide. And I thought, I've got to bring this into the show tonight, because as much as we're thinking about transfers, the manager and everything like that, this is still really important. The whole point of transfers is to improve the situation of your team. And that conversation we had last night with Ian about the need for a midfielder, a right winger, etc. You know what? It's not even just a winger that we need. When I knew about Rasmus at Atalanta, and I knew what his strengths were. He's a dribbling striker who likes the ball early. He wants to run the channel. And we saw that for Denmark tonight, and we saw it towards the end of the season as well. Now, Rasmus will thrive on early ball. Much the same as Erling Haaland will thrive on an early ball. Most decent strikers thrive on the early ball because they'll make the movement. Lewandowski will make the run to the front post, so he wants the early cross. Somebody might peel off to the back post like Haaland, and he wants the early cross. Strikers thrive on the early ball, whether you're someone who runs the channels like Rasmus, or whether you're somebody who peels to the back post, or whether you go for the front post. It's all about movement, and it's all about how quick you can get the ball. Tell me, in our attack, how many players we've got who get their head up and play the early ball. Bruno. I'm not going to name the rest of them, but how many of our other players take too many touches and keep their head down and maybe take a shot? Like, it's not just about putting crosses into the box. It's about playing the early ball. And this is the importance of an Elise or a Neto or a creative who plays the ball early. When you think about United over the last 5 years, especially our wingers, how many of them are heads down FC, early night FC, or too many touches? You know, we've got to pass the ball early. And I was watching Denmark today, and I was like, you know, we mentioned about it so many times on this channel. You've got to play the ball early. But how many of our players, they don't want to do it. And it's fine if you've got one. I don't mind having one player that is head down, takes people on and shoots. But we've got too many who do that. You've got to have a player that can play the ball early. And we haven't really got enough to do it. So there we go. I'd want out Nori from that agency. I think he's a quality player. But also I don't want Shaw anywhere near United more. I think it's so obvious what he's done. Get rid of United. Get rid, says Sean Turner. Ooh, Sean. I think you're going to prompt a bit of chat here. I think you're also going to prompt a poll from Polbridge. Either or. Shaw, go. Shaw, stay. It's that simple. Sean Turner. Shaw Turner. Doesn't work. Has laid down the gauntlet and said, get rid of Luke Shaw. It's so obvious what he's done. Bringing out Nori. Now, Sean is a legend in the chat. He's a regular contributor in there, and he's been here for a long, long time. He is saying, I would like to sign out Nori from that agency because I want Luke Shaw gone. It's so obvious what he's done. Now, obviously, apparently Luke Shaw leaks me the team news. He doesn't. Apparently, we're part of the agency that manages Ten Hag. We're not. If we did, I think we'd fucking know where he was on holiday, and I only found that today from the Dutch press. So I have no bias in this argument about Luke Shaw at all, apart from the fact that I like him as a player. I put a tweet out last night saying that he's going to be back for the Euros. I don't want any credit for that, but the tweet's there. I said last night, Luke Shaw is going to be ready for the Euros. Today, Matt Lawton, a respectable journalist around England, basically said the same thing 24 hours later. Luke Shaw is doing really well and is expected to be back for the Euros. This has prompted a lot of United fans to say he hasn't fucking played for United since February and he gets himself fit to play in the Euros for England. And a lot of people are not happy about it. Look, I might be in the minority. I've been in the minority before. When Rashford, you were going all mad about it being in Belfast, I fell out with you all. No way. No way was he out in Belfast. I've been told. I've played the game. There's no way Rashford's out in Belfast. You're all going to look like a bunch of idiots. I looked like the idiot. So I'm more than capable of getting it wrong. But on Luke Shaw, and I think it was Beth who was messaging in the group chat today about Luke Shaw. I can't remember what she said. I think it was just surprise, surprise, Luke Shaw's back. It was nothing more than that, which a lot of you've said. And I said, from an English point of view, Man United don't play till August. England play in a week or so. I actually want Luke Shaw to play. Maybe that's my Euros hat on, but I actually want him to play. So I don't actually, in this one, quite rare, I don't actually care that he's back for Luke Shaw. Maybe he's back for Luke Shaw, that he's back for England. I can play devil's advocate and say that it's very obvious to me that Luke Shaw really likes playing for England. He's even done interviews in the past about it. There's even been rumours around him that he prefers playing for England over Man United. Unfairly, but there has. So I can understand why there is a bit of that in some of the fans, especially those who don't like England. But from my point of view, as I've always said, if you've got an injury for 5 months and it coincides with you're going to be back in June and the Euros start in mid-June, what are you supposed to do? Like, he's back fit. He wasn't going to be back fit for the FA Cup final. It's just, look, you're either going to believe it's pure coincidence, which I think it is, or you're going to think he didn't rush himself back on purpose because he wanted to make sure he was fit for the Euros. And you'll never have the answer to that. But I genuinely think it's coincidence, because Ten Hag did say that Luke Shaw was pushing to get back for the FA Cup final and had a bit of a setback. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one, because I like the player and I want him to play for England. Of course, I will concede there is a but here. If he plays for England and then afterwards gets injured and misses the start of the season, then there's a problem, because you can't not play for United from February, go to a tournament with England where you're going to play every 3 or 4 days and then miss the start of the season for Man United. You can't have an England sandwich. That's a shit sandwich. You know, he's got to be ready for the start of the season. Maybe are at Carrington for Bruno, Mark, says Ali. I don't think he's under Bruno Fernandes, that agency, Ali. I didn't see Bruno Fernandes there, so I don't think Bruno Fernandes... I mean, it's a good point. I would have expected Bruno to be under that agency, but I don't think he is. I think Bruno is under a different agency. He's under MRP. Yeah, he's under a completely different one. He's under MRP agency, which has got Nuno Mendes of PSG, Anacio of Sporting Lisbon, Thiago Silva. They don't have in fact, they don't have that many good clients. They've got Mendes, Anacho, and Bruno. Got 3 really good ones, so different agency. But, you know, I would have thought you might be that. Jay Harris says, if Shaw has to be sold, so does Malacia. He's been completely missing all season. We should sign out Nori from Wolves. I liked out Nori when he was playing in France. So I remember us being linked to him a few years ago. Look at Shaw's injuries, and there's your answer, says viewer. Can I just say, people saying sell Luke Shaw, can you please tell me who to? Like, people aren't thick. He's on 150 grand a week. And he's injury prone, and he's got a massive contract, so we won't be able to sell him anyway. Who to believe, Sean or Eric Ten Hag calling Shaw the best in the world, says Mario Franco. Well, I'm with Ten Hag on that one. I do respect Sean. This is the whole point. We can disagree without falling out. Robbo says, Sancho, Rashford and Mount will have Southgate out if he gets the job. Keep up the great work. We watch every day, says Robbo. Cheers, pal. And Mark, says Victor, just like I support United because of my grandfather. I've been watching since I was 4. I'm tired of the Glazers and INEOS. Seem to be their dogs. If Eric Ten Hag is sacked, I will walk. Greenwood is the only attacker we need. Answers our problems. Defence and midfield focus, says Thomas. Thomas, I can't really give you any update on what's happening with this guy. But if you want a bit of guidance on Greenwood, I'm very, very sure we'll sell him. If you're thinking there's going to be a 360 on that, or a 180 actually, because 360 puts you back where you were. I used to work with somebody who said, you won't believe it, we've had a full 360 on where we were yesterday, and then he'd say there's something different's happened, and I'd have to say, you do realise a full 360 takes you back to where you were. So if we've had a full 360, we're in the same position we are now. Get very confused by this and actually start doing a bit of a turn. And I'd go, yeah, you've done 360. And he'd go, well, what's the saying then? 180. Why? It's nothing to do with darts. I'd say, no, 180 is half a 360. If the situation has changed completely, there's been a turnaround, you turn from while you're looking now to the other direction. That's 180 degrees. It's not 360. And he was the manager. City will drop when Pep leaves, says Nick. And thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. There was something in there that was quite interesting. Yeah, on Greenwood, I don't think there's going to be any change with that. Because whether you like it or not, if we bring Greenwood back, there will be a massive shitstorm. And it's one that's easily avoidable. Hi, Mark. Maybe I missed it. Is it true that they sacked the manager? Oh, Zeus, please don't. We're trying to be a Ten Hag has been sacked free zone because it's an absolute flies round shit story that people have got no idea about. There's a bit of a breaking story coming out that there's a possibility that in the coming days an offer will arrive from a big Premier League club for Julian Alvarez. Keep an eye on other teams too. I mean, it won't be Man United. Probably be bloody Man City, won't it? It'll probably be Arsenal. I'm happy I was able to remind you about your book, says United AV, but are you coming to San Diego? It'll be amazing at the new stadium in LA for Arsenal match. I don't know what's happening with the American tour at the moment. I think a lot of it depends on what goes on with signings, etc. Basically, it's not exclusive news, but for the American tour, they're not expecting to be taking many good players because of the Euros. So if you think about it, I think that basically anybody who gets to the semi-final won't be going to the US tour because they'll have to have a couple of weeks off. So there's a bit of uncertainty about what the tour's going to involve at the moment in relation to quality of player that's going. Plus, you might have Gareth Southgate in charge, in which case I'm Mr. T. If Gareth Southgate's in charge, I ain't getting on no plane. Oh, drink a milk, passed out. I ain't getting on no plane. I'm not getting on no plane to go and be in the vicinity of Southgate if he's Man United manager. Terence says, when the chips are down, some players don't show up, says Terence. Wow, you know what? This poll is really interesting. Sure go, sure stay. 49% are saying sure go. 51% are saying sure stay. I'm disappointed, but look, I'm disappointed that we didn't get rid of the Glazers and get a full sale and clear the debt. You don't get everything you like in life. You just have to deal with it. And you can be vocal about it. As I said this morning, life's not fair. That doesn't mean you have to accept everything, but you can move on from it. And I think that, I really rate Luke Shaw. It was only a year ago when he was, I felt, one of the best left-sided centre-backs in the Premier League, let alone left-backs. So the injury thing is the big problem. I just really hope in the Euros he doesn't break down and get injured, because that would be a bloody nightmare, wouldn't it? Shale says, if we're going to spend big on a centre-back, it's got to be Bastoni. Great ball player. I don't think we will spend big on anybody, mate. I don't think we can afford to spend big on one player. Shahin says, every 2 summers we have some people wanting Shaw out, only for him to come back and be one of our best players. Well, let's hope that happens again, Shahin. I've got another poll for you here. I mean, I wasn't expecting to do the Luke Shaw one, and I must say thank you to Sean Turner because I love it, love it, love it. I love this community, and I love it when you drive a conversation that's not on my list. I love it when we go off on tangents. So love it, love it, love it. But this is an interesting one. It's another either or. Evans stay or Evans go. Now, Manchester United are in conversations with Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton about new contracts. Brandon Williams will leave. I agree with that. Brandon Williams was given a very, very good contract at Man United, a stupid contract, in fact, and he's not kicked on at Ipswich or Norwich. So Brandon Williams needs to go. I agree with that. And good luck to him elsewhere in his career. But Johnny Evans, would you keep Johnny Evans or would you let Johnny Evans go? Now, I'm in the fortunate position here that I have got insider knowledge. And predominantly, most of it comes from Ben Foster, if I'm being honest, because he knows Johnny Evans. I'm getting emotional. It wasn't. It was a bit of a nut. He knows Johnny Evans, but we also know Johnny Evans from this season as well. Ben Foster said to me about Johnny Evans, there's very, very few players in football like him anymore. He's a model professional. He's a motivator in the dressing room. He leads by example. And when the chips are down, he'll stand up. And there's not many players. He's old school. And when Ben Foster said that to me, numerous times, I was like, well, this is really impressive. Even if I didn't have that, I still think I'd come to the same conclusion. Because even if I didn't have that anecdotal story about what Johnny Evans is like as a person, look at this season. Crystal Palace, when we lost 4-0. Loads of people are injured who get back for the FA Cup final. Johnny Evans is injured, clearly injured, had a bad game, but puts on a Man United shirt. He's also a legacy player that knows what Man United's all about. He's a fan who stands in the terrace. I don't expect Johnny Evans to play many games for Man United next season. But with Raphael Varane going, and Varane is a 3-time Champions League winner, he's a World Cup winner, he's a big influence in the dressing room. You can't just clear the dressing room out of admirable, respected people. There are big personalities in that dressing room, but are they winners? Are they people that demand respect? And I think when we bought Johnny Evans, I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Because we messed up the summer transfer window. But it's not like we're giving him 20 million quid. His wage will be hardly anything for a club like Man United. But his influence on young players coming through and on players that we already have, I just think he's a good player to have around. I really, really do. And also, I think that he's still more than capable of playing cameo performances for Manchester United. I wouldn't keep Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. I don't really see the point in that, because then you've got two edge-of-the-box, slow centre-backs. I don't see the point in keeping Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. You keep one or the other, in my mind. If you keep both, you're stacking yourself up with centre-backs that don't suit the way that we want to play. We want mobility. But you can have one of them. So I would keep Evans for another year and phase out Maguire. That's what I would do, because I think they're very similar. I don't think there's a lot between Maguire and Evans. Obviously, I think Maguire's better, but there's not a lot between them in the way that they play. And one of them you could get some money for. So I don't mind keeping Johnny Evans. And I'm fully aware of the influence that he's got. There is no sell-on value for him anyway. If he goes, you're just saving a minimal wage. So why not keep him around and sell Maguire? I think it makes a lot of sense. But I think you've got to respect Johnny Evans. It's not always about, oh, he's getting old and he's slow. He's also somebody that if you are 3-0 down at Anfield, he's not going to let people down tools. So I think he's an important person in and around the club. And we have got a lot of younger players coming through as well. So I would keep him. I think sometimes you do keep a player like that around, and beggars can't be choosers as well. No brainer Evans stays, says Sammy. Gives it all for the badge and a Northern Ireland legend. Thank you very much. J. Dot says keep Johnny Evans. It would at least give us some positive news for this first time in a while. For some, maybe. Irish Legend says think he was our standout player last year. Keep him. And also, I think with Johnny Evans, is there not a transition into coaching at the club as well? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's job for the boys. I don't know about that. But I would. To me, I think Again, it will be quite divisive because I understand the people that want to move him on because you're like, you're not going to win the Premier League with Johnny Evans. We need Todibo. We need Branthwaite. We need Guehi. And we do. We need to move Maguire and Evans and Lindelof on. But logically, there is a value to Maguire and there is a value to Lindelof, and Johnny Evans is a free. So keep Johnny Evans and move on Lindelof and Maguire. That's the obvious thing as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't think we are going to move those on. And I do acknowledge that if we keep Martinez, we keep Evans, we keep Maguire, we keep Lindelof, and we only buy one centre-back, it's not enough. Because it only needs Martinez or the new centre-back to get injured, and you're playing with a low defensive block again. We've got to move away from the low defensive block, and the only way you're going to do that is like Liverpool do. If Liverpool have Van Dijk and Matip and they get injured, you can play Joe Gomez or Kwanzaa or Konate, and they're all people that can play a high line. You know, we've got to get into that system. I mentioned last night about wingers who can create, and we don't have them. We also need centre-backs who can play a high line, and we don't have them. So one centre-back's not enough. When you look at Man United's big issue last season, the defensive line wasn't getting up high enough because we didn't have the pace or the quality. We had two centre-backs who can do it. Varane and Martinez. Varane has gone. So you need to replace Varane and then bring in another centre-back that can do it. One centre-back who can play a high line just replaces Varane. We already had that last year. We need two who can play a high line. Mobility. Mobility is what we need. I wonder what the chances are INEOS realise it's a bigger job than they thought and fans hating what they do and they agree with the Glazers to sell to Sheikh Jassim. Big wishful thinking, says Nathan. Massive big wishful thinking. Agents could be for Gonzalez, the defensive midfielder from Porto, says Abdul. Well, I think it's exciting. I mean, I can't tell you the name of who it is, but I think it is exciting. Keep Evans. He loves Ten Hag and respects his own role, says Nick James. Yeah, he did. He was one of the only players that publicly came out after the FA Cup final and said, keep Eric Ten Hag. Ross McRae, Magician, says, rating out of 10. The likelihood transfers this summer will be done quicker, given how slow we are at deciding everything, including Ten Hag's future. Yeah, I mean, look, that's something that I think that we would all like to see improve, the speed of things. But, I mean, the Glazers are the people that slow everything down. Historically, they slow everything down. I mean, God, they've slowed the refurbishment of Old Trafford down that they've never even bloody done anything. The sale of the club. This time last year, we were thinking we were going to be bought by Qatar before the end of the month. I mean, who can remember this time last year when Rio Ferdinand was stood there on his bloody camera phone doing a vlog at a train station? I'm here in tomorrow for Qatar. So, my point of that was to say that, look, the Glazers are very slow. And we didn't even find out till Christmas Eve. If Rio had carried on doing that vlog, he'd have frozen. It was 6 months and he was the wrong thing anyway. So everything is slow with the Glazers. So when INEOS came in, there was that hope that everything would be quick. But again, we're stuck in slow. So I don't know whether we're going to suddenly start moving quicker or not. Honestly, the Glazers are still involved. I mean, I still think one of the biggest developments of the last 2 weeks has been Simon Stone saying that Joel Glazer is involved in the decision about Eric Ten Hag. How? Why? How? What's that all about? And I do worry about some stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to go over old ground, but inevitably we always do. The people that wanted INEOS over Qatar always said, and we could get the receipts out if we wanted to, the people that wanted INEOS and Sajim over Sheikh Jassim always said that he's not just buying 25%, or in those days it was 70%. He was buying 70%, wasn't he? And then he was buying 50%. And then it went down to 25%. So Jim's purchase of Man United changed every 3 months. It was all of it. It was 70%, it was 50%, and it ended up being 27%. But everybody who wanted Jim always said, there's no way he won't buy that club without a pathway to buying it all and getting rid of the Glazers in 2 years. And those receipts are out there. There are certain accounts that wanted Jim Radcliffe who were saying he will buy all the club within 2 years. And then on Christmas Eve, when we got the deal, there was nothing in there about a pathway to buying the whole club. And there still isn't a pathway to buying the whole club at all. So I think that you have to look at it and say, we were also told that Sir Jim Radcliffe and INEOS would have exclusive control of the football side of things. And yet Simon Stone says last week, Joel Glazer's involved in the decision to sack Erik ten Hag. So I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on really and who's slowing things down. But if the Glazers are more involved than we were led to believe, then inevitably things will slow down. I.e., if Joel Glazer is involved in the decision to sack Erik ten Hag, and I don't know why Simon Stone's tweet and story has been swept under the carpet by so many of these people who told us that INEOS were going to buy all the club in 2 years and they were going to control the footballing side of things. If they control the footballing side of things, why is Joel Glazer involved in the decision to sack ten Hag? Because the manager is managing the football team. That should exclusively be with INEOS. But maybe my point here is that all the delays may not be on INEOS. Maybe the delays are with the people that have always delayed everything, which is the Glazers. And maybe INEOS can't get things done quickly because everything they want to do has to go through the Glazers. Now, I don't know what Joel Glazer's involvement is in sacking ten Hag or keeping ten Hag, but maybe that's slowing things down. I don't know what their involvement is in getting Dan Ashworth, but maybe they don't want to free any money up for Dan Ashworth, so Man United have got to go to arbitration. I don't know. But we must always remember, Man United is not owned by INEOS. It is owned by the Glazers. And in a way, INEOS work for the Glazers because the Glazers own more of Man United. And maybe it's that relationship that slows things down. And many of you have quite rightly said many times, it pisses you off when people say Man United owners INEOS, because they're not owners of Man United. If you have a house and you share it with somebody and they own 25% of it and you own 50% of it, do you think something's going on at that house without you saying it can? And it can slow things down as well. Maybe that person wants to redecorate the part of the house that they own and you go, no, aesthetically, it doesn't fit in well. And also, who's paying for it? So we say Ditheros or Spinios or Glazers 2.0, but it doesn't take long to actually scratch the surface and go, well, nobody really knows what's going on at United. Why is Joel Glazer being referred to about the manager? We were told a lot of things before INEOS bought United about a pathway to buying all the club. It didn't happen. When they did get their 25%, we were told they would exclusively control the footballing side. How does that work? They have free reign on transfer budgets. They can spend what they like on director of football. I don't think they can. I still think they have to go to the Glazers in some way, shape or form and say, sign this off. And that could be why things slow down. We are in the dark. We are mushrooms in the dark. And do you think that INEOS set the transfer budget for Man United this summer? Or do you think it has to get signed off by the Glazers? And I know I've gone very long-winded there, but the question was, do you expect us to be quicker on transfers this summer compared to previous summers? And the answer is, I don't know, because maybe INEOS do want to be effective and quick, which you have to be. But if they've got to go, look, let's say INEOS pull off an amazing deal for Lenny Yoro, and it's ready to go tomorrow for Yoro. But they have to go to the Glazers and say, can you sign off this 50 million? And the Glazers go, leave it with us. I don't know how the relationship works. I don't know whether INEOS have got the ability to just write checks and sign players very, very quickly, or whether they've got to get it sanctioned by the Glazers. We also don't know, even if INEOS have got the power to do that, whether they work quick or not as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. What's your thoughts on Kirkez? I've got to be honest with you. I've watched a bit of Bournemouth this season, and he's decent, but I wouldn't say he's jumped out at me. I've got to be honest. Obviously, they've got some good players, but yeah, I don't know. And they're going to want a good price for him, aren't they? Scott Hargreaves has been a member for 44 months. Let's give a shout out. My hope is they're working out Erik ten Hag club's contract, says Nick. That would be an explanation, but another explanation could be that they're waiting for the right moment to sack him. Who would you say is the top transfer hotometer mark at the moment? Says 10. And Ten Hag says Jay. Well, I had it out yesterday. That was the hotometer from March international break, and I haven't wanted to change it. I think it does. We do need to start updating this. I mean, God, you know what? I've got to say, Jay, the fact that I've not changed that and it's June the 4th really is an eye-opener to me as to how slow we are at the moment. We should be changing this regularly. This is from the March international break and we've not changed it. And it's not because we're being lazy. Like, I literally don't... I think I had more idea in March than I do now. It's scary. In previous years, we'd be changing that by the day. I've not changed that because I genuinely don't know what to do. Like, I don't feel that we're advanced with anybody at the moment. It's a weird summer transfer. Look, it's weird around the manager, of course it is, but it's really weird around transfers. I don't feel like I know, and I don't feel like anybody really knows, which is probably explains Fabrizio's tweet about the left back. Man United will buy a left back, but who knows who it's going to be? We don't know. I mean, Elise at the moment, I would drop down because Chelsea look like they're going to win that race. Tadibo, I would still keep high. Branthwaite, I'd probably drop down to 5 because I'm 50-50 on that one. Frimpong probably, sadly, needs to start dropping down as well. I think I'd drop a lot of them. I'd drop Elise, Branthwaite and Frimpong down to 5 and be 50-50. I'd maybe knock João Neves up to a 2 or a 3. I still don't think we'll get him, but I live in hope. But yeah, it's very, very hard. Very, very hard to predict at the moment. Sakin says, I'm very frustrated, Mark. We have some drama at the start of the transfer window. We delay purchase of players, buy or overpay for second or third choice, blame manager for not doing well, says Sakin. Just got back from work, Mark. What's the headline, says Goldio. So the headline is about, we had some information this lunchtime that the agency that represents Lenny Yoro, João Neves, Alt Nouri, and not Inacho, Neto, was at Carrington today. That agency was at Carrington today is the story, which is obviously quite exciting because some of those players would be very welcome at Manchester United. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Evans earned his stripes. Others can learn from him, says Terence. And do you like Wharton? Palace made him from the Championship to England national team. Steve, I like a lot of players at Crystal Palace. I really, really do. And I do like Wharton, and I think he's going to be another player that will do very well. I mean, in some ways, it's very sad that Crystal Palace have to sell the likes of Alese and Guehi and Eze and inevitably Wharton at some point because they are very, very good players. Are we really going to see massive changes, or is it one of those summers where we as United fans expect more but the club only brings in 2 or 3 players? Well, I mentioned that last night, Chance. Who knows? AC Tracy says that Zidane has hinted today at a return to managers. Management. INEOS Prats will definitely jump on that. Logan, welcome to the members club as well. I haven't mentioned Zidane to you for a long time. I'm trying to get my words out here. I think Zidane is very, very, very far-fetched. I'd be very, very careful about getting excited about Zidane because that could be used to go, that'll make people want to get rid of Ten Hag and then we just bring Tuchel in. I mean, look, Blanc's got a good relationship with Zidane. You could run down a conspiracy theory that Man United are waiting to see if they can persuade Zidane. And if they can't persuade Zidane, they'll stick with Ten Hag. You could run with that. You could. I think it's very, very unlikely. My research on Zidane has always been very much the same. It was the same when Ollie went and he was available. He didn't want the Man United job. He didn't want a job in England. He's been offered a few jobs in England and he's never took them. And when you look at Zidane, he has got no reputation for a rebuild. he took the Real Madrid job because he loves Real Madrid, and he took a dressing room that was full of world-class players, and he was constantly in conflict with the ownership. So I don't think Zidane is going to look at Man United, a club he's never played for and has no affection for, and he's going to look at that board that's going to have a lot of control, which he won't like, and then he's going to look at that dressing room and go, they haven't really got any world-class players. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think Zidane, based on what he did at Real Madrid, fits with coming into Man United and firefighting. He did bloody well at Real Madrid, but there was a number of reasons for that, and it suited him. I don't think he's a long-term manager either. I think he's the sort of manager that would go, I don't like this, and leave. So I don't necessarily... I suppose what I'm saying is, I really like Zidane. He's a massive name, but I don't think he's right for Man United. Doesn't mean that it's not possible, but I really don't think it will be him. There we go. Anyway, thank you very much for the show. Really enjoyed it. Absolute cracker. Loving. I mean, look, I'm like you. I just want to move. I want to move on and start moving. And what I will say is, the minute they make a decision, then a lot of things will happen after that. We'll have an abundance of things to talk about, and there are still things to talk about. And look, that agency at Carrington today is very, very interesting. It really is. And that's the sort of thing we're sort of rooting out and trying to find, because I'm bored shitless of seeing eyes and TikTok on Twitter. I'm bored of it. No one's got a fucking clue what's going on, and anybody who starts tweeting it is just doing it for interaction. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. My tweet last night about if I speak was about Man City. It's got nothing to do with Man United. Sammy says, if they are waiting to announce Southgate after the Euros, I hope you'll be leading the charge, burning waistcoats outside Old Trafford. Sammy, I will reserve my judgment on what I'm going to say about the next manager of Man United if they sack Ten Hag. But if it's Gareth Southgate, I'll find it very, 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 very hard not to be, for the first time in my life, manager out before they've even kicked a ball. I don't like Southgate as a coach. And if you go on That's Football, for the last 5 years, I've been making videos about how I don't rate Southgate. So I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say, welcome to Manchester United, I think he's a good coach, let's give him a chance. I would literally be a hypocrite, because I've been slating him for 5 years as England manager. I don't rate him. So it's a massive, massive problem, isn't it? Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully it won't be Southgate anyway. But I'd have to be Southgate out from day one, otherwise I'd be a hypocrite. And I hate that. I always want to give people a chance, but I'd have to be Southgate out from day one, otherwise I'd be a massive hypocrite and people would pull out them clips. So, you've got to live by your decisions sometimes. 54% of you would keep Johnny Evans, 46% of you would keep move him on. Good couple of polls tonight. Applause for you. You've been absolutely brilliant tonight. Really enjoyed the 8 o'clock show tonight. I'm back with you in the morning. I was meant to be in London tomorrow. I wasn't going to be here tomorrow until the evening. So I wasn't going to be on the morning show, but I am on the morning show tomorrow. Make sure you smash a like and video, subscribe. Oh, just don't forget, to celebrate the launch of the Goldbridge book, which is coming out at the start of August, we've got some prizes up for grabs that you can win. They're personalised prizes, so it's like come and have a pint at the Goldbridge Arms, which I'm really excited about. Don't worry, I won't just give you a pint and kick you out. You can actually stay and have a pint with us and have a chat, play darts, watch a bit of telly. That's probably the best prize, and I'm thinking we might do that for 4 or 5 people, actually. There's some really good prizes there. Check out the link in the live chat. I'll whack it. I'll pin it in the video description as well, and you can enter there. And don't forget to pre-order your book. You can't even see it, but it's on Amazon. That's probably the best place to get it. I think you can get it WH Smith as well if you want to get a signed one. Can't wait. Thank you very much. Speak to you later. Take care. You can come to the pub and have a water. I understand that you might not like alcohol, but you can still come to the pub and have a pint of water. You don't have to drink alcohol. You might not be old enough. Don't worry, we're checking ID. Dave the bouncer on the door, he'll be checking the Dave and Diane. We're diverse with our door people. INEOS are just glazers with British accents as space. Why would we announce retained list if Ten Hag is not the manager? Wouldn't he maybe want to make decisions on those players, says Levi? Not if we're being rung by committee. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all in a bit. Check out the link in the live chat. Legends.